by the grave. But lo and behold, the branch grew green leaves and became a tree. The locals have had no dealings with the water goblin since then, but some have had the bad luck to bump into him. And when you walk by the pier, where it all happened, you can still hear his chuckling.
That was a very nice story.
Story? What story? It's the truth.
Why hasn't anyone gone looking for the axe, then?
Because it brings misfortune. Didn't you listen to me at all? Look for yourself if you wish. Rock Tower Pond isn't far from here. The Water Goblin's Pier is somewhere among the reeds. But leave me out of it. I'm fine here with my drink. Farewell.
God grant you help. Greetings.
I heard you could use a helping hand at the forge.
I could. My last two hands, well, they're not worth mentioning. And what with the wedding coming up, the work is piling up. What do they call you?
Henry.
I'm Radovan. You should know, Henry. The blacksmithing isn't for everyone. Have you done it before?
Yeah. I basically grew up in the forge. My father was a swordsmith, and not just any. He even forged swords for the nobility.
For the nobility, eh? Well, that kind of experience will come in very handy for me indeed. As it happens, I have to forge a wedding present for young Lord Semine. A fine sword.
So you'll take me on?
Hold your horses. I'll have to try you out first. You could forge me a hunting sword as a test, so I can see if you can make a straight blade. That shouldn't give you much trouble if your father was a swordsmith, should it?
Sure thing. I can get started right away.
Great. Find some iron and get started then.
Iron?
You can't make a sword out of butter, but if you don't have your own stuff, you can get everything from the chest in my forge. Have you taken what you need from the chest yet? Stop faffing about and get the things from the chest. Go over to the anvil and let's get started. Furnace is cold now. Give it a practice try. Some things, like swords, are too long to fit in the fire. You have to heat it up, but try poking it around for a bit. Now get the furnace nice and hot. There's a lever above you. Give it a pull. It works the bellows. You can tell the temperature by the color, but you won't be able to tell when it's in the fire. You have to take it out from time to time and take a look. Try it out. See? That's exactly the straw color we want. You've got talent, lad. Now heat up the whole thing. The whole thing is heated up now, so come over to the anvil. Try moving the sword along the anvil so you can get the hang of it. Now take the hammer and try hitting it a few times. See the sparks? That's the sign of a good strike. The more sparks, the better. Also, you can hammer with different degrees of power. A stronger hit will do more, but it'll tire you out faster. Try giving it a few blows, as hard as you can, so I can see how strong you are. That's got a nice ring to it. Of course, if it was all about hitting an anvil with a hammer, any dolt could do it. You've got to hammer the workpiece evenly. One hit next to the other. Very nice. You're doing just fine. But when I say evenly, I mean it. A sword has two sides, like a lot of other things, including myself. Turn it over and continue on the other side. Nice. Now try forging it on both sides. The closer it is to being finished, the more it will take on the shape you want. It'll cool off soon anyway. Move it. You're standing there like a fence post. You call this working? It's cooled now. You can't do it all in one go. You've got to put it back in the furnace from time to time. Sometimes you've got to go there and back all day. But it's all part of the craft. Now, get back to the forge and heat it all up again, like before. The whole thing is heated up now, so come over to the anvil. Hear that? Besides the sparks, you can tell a good strike by the sound it makes. Sparks! That's the stuff. See how it's taking on the right shape? That's how you can tell it's almost finished. Now, I've got a piece of advice for you. Hammer to a rhythm. When I hammer a piece to a beat, there you go. You've got it finished. All that's left is to temper it, and the sword will be done. The rest is just tweaking. Right. Let's have a look. Very nice work. Your father taught you the trade well.
He'd certainly be happy to hear that.
If you carry on hammering as well as you did today, you've definitely got a job here. Even so, keep in mind, it's all about making sure every strike does its job. That's why you can't let it get cold, or keep striking the same spot. If you work evenly, each strike falling right next to the last one, you can't go wrong. Got that? Or is there something else you want to ask about?
How do I know a good strike from a bad one?
By the sparks that fly up. And by the ring. It rings out with a different sound when you do it right.
What good does it do me to whistle while I work?
It makes you work to a rhythm. You won't get tired so quickly, and the iron feels it.
What's the right way to heat up the workpiece?
Do it till it turns the color of straw. Ideally, the color should be the same everywhere, if your forging's going to be even. The main thing is, don't work it cold. You just ruin it. But don't overheat it either. As soon as sparks start to fly off it in the furnace, take it out.
Why should I forge evenly?
If you keep hammering the same spot, you'll never finish it. You'll just fuck it up. But jumping from one end to the other ain't a good idea neither. You'd end up working unevenly. The best thing to do is aim each strike next to the one before.
How will I know it's finished?
Notice the shape. The closer you are to finishing, the more precise the shape it will have.
Thanks. That's all I need to know.
You can sleep in the chamber by the woodshed. And there's a chest where you can keep your things. And of course, you can use the forge anytime you want. Any questions?
What can I do with the items I've forged?
Well, you can sell them. Though you probably won't have much luck around here. But I'll happily buy some of the nicer things from you.
Where can I get materials?
You can buy some essentials from me. But if you want to make a fancy sword with lots of ornamentation, you'll have to look elsewhere. This is just a village, you know. The locals ain't after luxury. And they can't afford it neither.
Where exactly is my bed?
At the side of the house, there are 2 doors and a wheelbarrow between them. You go in by the rear door, next to the woodshed, and you can put your things in the chest there. Don't worry, nobody'll steal them.
What now?
What do you think? You're not going to be idle. I'll find you some work to do right away. You're pretty good at swords, but what the locals really need is axes and horseshoes. Right, here are some simple drawings that show what they're both supposed to look like. And some iron. You can get down to it right away.
Just like that? You aren't going to help me?
Sacre, lad. I chose you because you already know a thing or two. I'm not going to look over your shoulder all bloody day. You take care of these smaller jobs. Forge away as long as you're able, and then sell it all. Once you've made some coin and feel like being out in the open again, I'll give you some more interesting work. Fucking piece of shit! It's about those 2 idiot hands of mine, Venza and Franzi. They drove off with a cart full of goods towards Semine, and they never came back.
Do you want me to find them?
Just so. But more importantly, I want to know where my cart ended up, and especially the cargo. Go to Semine and find out what the bloody hell happened.
Have you any idea which way they might have gone? I could have a look along the way. Maybe their cart broke down or something.
There's only one road to Semine that can take a cart. It leads from Takov to Troskovitz, and then to the south. But I've got a bad feeling they got up to no good in Semine.
Those 2 hands of yours, Venza and Franzi, what can you tell me about them?
Can't tell you much. They're wandering laborers. I don't think they wanted to stay here with me for long, but these days I can use all the help I can get.
Were they suspicious in any way?
No, they worked hard. They ain't no slackers. And I can't say that about everyone.
What was the cart carrying?
Bugger and bollocks. All sorts of stuff. I'd say Lord Samin wants to rearm his garrison with new equipment. There were some hunting swords, bastard swords, crossbow bolts. I also fixed the trigger on young Samin's crossbow. And some kitchen stuff. Sacks of charcoal, all sorts of things. There's a good month's work in that cartload.
All right. I'll get right on it then.
Go ahead. And if you find that pair of fools drunk, kick their asses for me.
Gladly. I'll kick some sobriety into them. Can I ask you about that cart?
What is it you need to know?
All right. I'm on my way.
Time's wasting. Run along.
There's a couple more things I'd like to ask about smithing.
Ask away.
Thanks. That's all I need to know. I need something that'll put animals to sleep. Project said you might know something.
Did you get tired of blacksmithing and take up farming instead? I just happen to know of something. I used a concoction that will put even a startled mare to sleep in no time. I once accidentally drank some and slept for 3 days. But the recipe is an old blacksmith's secret. The kind you don't just give away. You're in the trade, so I can tell you. Listen up then. You take some poppy and thistle and boil them in oil. Then, after it cools off, you add a little herb Paris.
That doesn't sound too complicated. Thank you.
How can I help you today, friend?
I heard you could teach me something.
Sure, why not? If you pay me, I'll teach you a few of my tricks. What are you interested in?
I'm still not really sure of myself in the forge. Could you show me again how it's done?
Why not? Better to practice now than fuck up an order. Why don't you forge me another hunting sword? Have you got what you need?
Yeah, I have.
Let's see what you can do then. Are you gonna get started then?
Greetings to you.
Are you gonna get started then?
Don't
Get
cause
to
any
it.
trouble.
I want
Got
to
it?
see how you'll fare.